It looks cool, but it's way out of tune.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is not what NBC sounds like.
Ooh, oh, that last one's particularly
That's awful.
bad.
Hi, I'm Michael, KB9VBR, your host for Ham Radio Q&A. Thanks for joining me. I'm on a mission to inspire and educate the ham radio community, so if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. Well, recently I was at the Madison Area Repeater Association's Ham Fest in Stoughton, Wisconsin. After the Ham Fest, our group met up with Tom, WJ9H, who's the chief engineer for WMTV Channel 15, a mid-market television station located in Madison, Wisconsin. Channel 15 totally rebuilt their station back in 2016. So in this tour of their facility, you're going to see a lot of state-of-the-art equipment and a completely digital workflow. We're going to be touring 4 parts of the station: the studios, the control room, the cabling and server racks, and also the newsroom. If you had any experience in broadcast television, you're going to be totally amazed at the level of automation you're going to find in this facility. So, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment area below. And otherwise, I'm just going to turn this thing over to Tom and let him give us the tour of WMTV Channel 15.
We went on the air in 1953. We were the second TV station on the air in Madison because before 53 there were only VHF channels.
Well, Channel 3.
No. There's a story behind that. So Madison had no TV channels allocated to it up until 1953 because we're kind of crammed in between Chicago, Milwaukee, Quad Cities, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, and maybe even Wausau. I don't know in Wausau, but there were no VHF channels, no channels on all the side of Madison until the FCC authorized UHF channels 14 through 83 in 1953, and so they assigned to Madison channel 21, 27, and 33. So WMTV applied for 33, and WKOW applied for 27. And there was a race to be the first station on the air in Madison, and they beat us by 2 weeks. This is the main news desk here. We don't have any permanent graphics, really. It's all based on monitors. I haven't even counted how many monitors there are. There's a video wall behind the news anchors. They can put a single video in, they can put multiple videos, they can have a graphic, they can put the reporter in the corner and who's out in the field and fill the rest of it with something else. This side set here has multiple uses. It's got its own 2x4 video wall behind it. And what we use this for every night is a 9 o'clock newscast on our CW channel, which is 15.2. But they use this this morning. We actually used this set. There was a guest that was being interviewed on MSNBC at 10:15 this morning. So normally we're not staffed for that, but we've got an uplink to NBC. So we put this camera on the gentleman, gave him an earpiece, and we uplinked the video to New York, and they talked to him on MSNBC, and he could hear the program feed in his earphone. In the Weather Center, most of these monitors are routable. Some of them are driven by devices called bright signs. So they're an IP connected thing. They can play a video sequence. You can FTP graphics to them and they update. So some of them come off our video router, some of them are IP based, but this is to give it we know everything about the weather look. So we have 6 cameras. They are all robotically controlled. There's no floor director, camera operator in here. So when the news is on,
fixed in position then.
They're all fixed, and there took a lot of there was a lot of geometry going on to figure out what the position for the cameras were to get the maximum number of shots and angles and such. So this camera can shoot the weather center, it can shoot the news desk, it can shoot the interview set. This camera mostly gets the green screen, but it can also get a side shot over here, and it can point over here. And you can get a long shot this way.
And get a real wide shot of the entire staff. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are all they're mostly under automation control, but there's a manual joystick in case like the anchor's not sitting in the right spot, they're over a little bit, so they got to joystick them over and get it centered. This is our combined control room. In the old building we had 2 control rooms. We had master control, which is the 24-hour, this is what we're putting on the air around the clock. And then there was the production control room where the newscast was actually produced and switched. So in the gray television model, all that's in one room. So we have basically 2 rows. So in this quadrant over here, this is where the director will normally sit. The director's in charge of the moment-by-moment switching and assigning of audio sources for the newscast. And this is our Ross overdrive system. Ross Video is out of Canada, and they've kind of cornered the video switcher market for television stations. This is the actual control panel for the video switcher. It's pretty cool. Nobody touches this unless something goes terribly wrong. You know, if you look up the program monitor, I can put up color bars. I can take all the camera sources and things like that. But to do a lot of the complicated multiple layer video things, that's all done under the automation controls. So Joe is one of the directors, and as the news people write their scripts and such, they will say, I need this story to be read on a 2-shot. And so before the newscast starts, the director has to take the newscast script and embed these control codes that tell all the equipment what to do. Take this camera and pan it around a preset number, whatever. Get the video switcher preset to camera 2, whatever. Get ready to open this mic. Get ready to prepare the graphic that's going to appear on the lower third of the screen. Prepare a different graphic that's going to be over the shoulder. Am I getting that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're coding the newscast. That's showing up in the Ross Overdrive rundown. And then if everything is going as scripted, all he has to do is go to this USB key panel and keep hitting the take button to do the next thing.
So everything corresponds to what it's going to do up there. So when I preload the first part of channel 2, yep, there goes the stinger. So, and that says to go ahead. The next control will play the video, the stinger on over it, and then just keep running down the line. So this is the next video.
All these are coming from different sources around them.
We go to the
from the WMTV studios. Your news
It's coming off server channel 3.
15 News, the morning show starts now.
Now, if something goes out of sequence, a video is late, or there's breaking news and it hasn't been scripted, they can take over and do some manual overrides of, I need this camera, and I'm going to take the joystick, I'm going to pan it myself and open this other microphone. The reason there's a chair here is because someday, because everything breaks eventually, that's going to die, and somebody's going to have to switch the newscast over here. Or even worse, this whole system's going to die, and that's why we have a backup switcher in the back row, which we haven't had to use yet. We haven't trained on yet. That's coming. That's part of our ongoing education program.
And then audio, I can open up any individual source from over here, but then as it's coded, if it's coded correctly, it will automatically give me whatever sources are on right here. So these you'll see the options will just kind of change on their own as you switch.
Oh, sweet.
That's the video switcher. That's the backup video switcher. A lot of distribution amplifiers. These are frame synchronizers for incoming live shot feeds from satellite and microwave and such. This is our closed captioning encoder. So it takes the text from our newsroom system and encodes it into the video, and then you have the option at home of turning the captioning on and off. This whole rack here is the VizRT graphics engine stuff. A lot of these are the actual video pieces, and there's like a database engine and then a gateway that connects up to the Lincoln render engine. This is all the news editing. There's more of it over there. This is all the storage. You can see all the blinking disk arrays. These are actually, these aren't video devices, they're more data-centric, who makes this? EMC, I think. So if a disk drive goes bad, EMC finds out about it before we do, because this thing will email an alert out to their data center. They'll alert us, hey, drive number 14 is starting to show some trouble. We're going to send you a new one. Okay. I won't show you all of these, but not all the racks are full here. This is our ClearCom Matrix Intercom system. It's got voice over IP, and it's really nice. It'll not only handles all of our intercom inside, it also ties into those IFB receivers that people are wearing. So on a panel over here, I can talk and listen. Each mic is paired to a receiver. So if I need to talk to the weather person while the newscast is going on, they're talking, I can find the button for the weather person. I can switch the listen mode on, so I'm listening to their mic, even though they're not on the air at the time. And I can talk to them, and I said, you can't have 3 minutes, you can only have 2:45. And they might answer back. And you can listen to that here. So it also ties into 4 phone lines, so reporters from the field can call in and get a mixed minus feed. Mixed minus is because of the delay, the 2-second delay I talked about getting cellular video back here. We can't send them the full program mix, otherwise they hear themselves 2 seconds late. And that confuses them. A lot of times when you're watching a live report and the reporter pulls his earphone out, that's because somebody sent them the wrong mix. And then when they're done talking, they'll put their earphone back in to hear if there's any questions. But most of the cabling is in the floor. So a company called Burst Communications, or Burst Video, did all the wiring and installation in here. There was one of the people on the crew was a woman who sat on a bucket over here making connectors for the routing switcher, and it's like she was braiding hair because it's just so pretty. All the wires are everywhere. So our 3 edit bays are named after legacy NBC News people. They got Huntley and Brinkley, and then around the corner is Chancellor.
Oh, I did see that.
So you're looking past the reporter into the grandiose newsroom. And there's nobody in here right now. Our crews on weekends are a lot smaller, and there probably is only 1 or 2 photographers on duty right now. They're off getting video for the 6 o'clock news.
You guys do a 6 o'clock on Saturdays?
Yep, and a 5 o'clock on Sundays. Plus a morning show. Oh, Ben is here. I see one head sticking up.